Coming up tonight on Sports Paws, women's hockey entered the ECAC tournament as the top seed for the first time in program history. Would it feel the pressure to perform well, or did it dispatch RPI?
Fans lined up outside TD Bank Sports Center 7 hours before puck drop to see the #1 team in the country fare against crosstown rival Yale. Was the men's ice hockey team able to finish the season strong?
And on the hardwood, women's basketball hosted Senior Day. Sunday it was in New York for a regular season championship game. Was it Iona or Quinnipiac?
And with so many great plays this weekend, it was hard choosing just 5 for the top plays of the week. You know what time it is. Sports Paws starts right now.
Welcome to Sports Paws. I'm Morey, Hershgordon alongside of Kyle Levasseur. And Kyle, what a great weekend it was for Quinnipiac Athletics. The TD Bank Sports Center was hopping. There was a triple header on Friday, a double header Saturday, teams all over the place with major playoff implications.
True that is, Morey, and no day was more packed than Friday, a triple header. Women's hockey quarterfinals at 2 p.m., women's basketball at Lender Court at 5 p.m., and men's hockey at 7 p.m. Let's get started with the first game of that slate. Women's hockey versus RPI, the first game of a best-of-3 series in the ECAC playoffs. We're going to kick it right in the second period where RPI's Jamie Grigsby steals the puck, is on a fast break, and she's going to snipe it right past Sydney Rawson's pad. RPI takes an early 1-0 lead. We're going to stay in the second period with 31 seconds left on the clock. Josephine Hansen rips a slap shot right past Sydney Rossman. RPI up by 2. And Morey, we haven't seen this team down that much in the later parts of the game. TTC in front is going to put on the moves here and pass it to Emma Woods, who just powers it right in the net, cutting the deficit in half, 2-1. Staying in the third period, Nicole Connery is going to keep the puck in the zone, snipe one top left corner, tying the game at 2. Neither team could score in the rest of regulation, so we're going to overtime. Here in overtime, TTC Infrano shoots once, and Emma Woods bats the rebound out of the air into the net. The play would be reviewed to see if it was hit off her skate, but it stands. Quinnipiac wins 3-2. Cass Turner postgame.
They have a good goaltender. We wanted to find ways to tire her out, and I think we did it. And we showed a lot of character, and to be down by 2 goals and to come back, that's a huge moment and a huge gut check for our team.
And I think it's just preparation, the way the coaches prepare us and how we practice 5-on-5 and special teams and everything, and just cycling the puck. And I think it just comes down to that.
With a goal and an assist Friday night, Nicole Connery became the 4th player in Quinnipiac women's ice hockey history to tally 100 points. Connery currently has 35 points this year and is the 2nd player this season to accomplish the feat, the first being her line mate, Nicole Costa.
And Kyle, let's kick it to game 2. Quinnipiac, would it advance to the ECAC semifinals, one that it hosts, or would it be Sunday afternoon that it would play RPI once again? But it was Levasseur Salander, the RPI goaltender. I'm just going to let you watch this one. I should really be quiet because it was Salander that made all the noise on Friday and Saturday. The Bobcats put up over 100 shots in 2 days, scoring just 5 goals. Pretty remarkable by the RPI goalie. But then in overtime, the first overtime, the Bobcats would have chances, and again it's Salander. Time in and time again, Bobcats was a 2-on-1, Bobcats 1-on-1, Bobcats from the blue line, Bobcats from the red line. It didn't really matter. The highlights just keep rolling. Salander was a monster.
If she wasn't the MVP this weekend, Morey, I don't know who is.
Well, LeBron James wasn't the MVP of the finals, and he should have been on the losing end, and I would have had Salander in this one. But in the second overtime, Quinnipiac, early on, Emma Woods with a snipe after a face-off Salander there. And then finally, with 6 minutes and 36 seconds left, it's Nicole Brown, and Quinnipiac moves on to the ECAC semifinals. And now let's take a look around the ECAC playoffs. Second-seeded Clarkson disposed of Cornell in 2 games. Number 3 seed Princeton lost to 6-seeded St. Lawrence 4-3 Sunday afternoon. The overtime thriller advances the Saints to the semifinals to face the Bobcats. Colgate sliced past Harvard in Game 3 as well. A 3-2 overtime thriller pushes the 4-seed Colgate past Harvard and into the semifinals.
Well, Morey, we're going to stay at High Point Solutions Arena, but now it's the men's term with a chance to win the Cleary Cup, the ECAC regular season championship. Tim Clifton is going to keep the puck in the offensive zone. He shoots. Scott Davidson gets a rebound, passes to Clifton again, who tips it in. He's just been doing that all year long, getting those garbage goals. Now we'll go into the third period, where Quinnipiac's Kevin McKernan passes to Andrew Tavener to Thomas Aldworth, who puts on a great deke. Back to Kevin McKernan for the goal. Quinnipiac up by 3 in the third period. But Brown is going to try and make a late game comeback here in the third. Davey Middleton steals the puck, passes to Rossi, who backhands it off Michael Gartick's stick, and Middleton is there for the rebound. He knocks it in, but it would be too little too late, as Quinnipiac is going to score another goal here late in the third period. It was Luke Shiplow. What a beautiful deke there. Snipes it top right shelf where Mama hides the cookies. Quinnipiac would win the game 4-1, gets their third Cleary Cup in the last 4 years. Rand Pecknold, postgame.
Every year is a different, it's a different year, and every year you get different challenges, and it always seems for us, fortunately, that we just, every season we have kids that step up, that go from that fourth line kid to that top 2 line kid, or even players like Taze and St. Denis this year, who were, great players for us last year, and now they're elite players in the country. They're 2 of the better players in the country. So we, it's our business plan, it's our model to keep, work. We have certain things that we do to make kids better, and if we continue to do that and recruit good talent, we'll get rewarded with championships.
And Kyle, 10:30 in the morning outside of the High Point Solutions Arena at TD Bank Sports Center, it was fans lined up to see Quinnipiac and Yale. And while the game didn't have any playoff implications whatsoever, it was quite the battle. Right there, it's Dan O'Keefe thinking he scores his first career goal, but the refs wave it off. Little goalie interference on that one. Bulldogs stoned at the beginning of the game. Be Scott Davidson, the tip-in, off the put-in from one of his Bobcat teammates. Quinnipiac 1, Yale nothing heading into the second period. But the Bulldogs would respond. Chris Ismirlian from Ted Hart. The 1-1 tie has the Bulldogs feeling good. Thomas Allworth, though, picks the puck out of the corner, gives it to Bo Pieper. Tanner McMaster with the T-bow and the celebration, plus the goal. Again, your boy Shiplow, right side of the goal. There we go, sweet celebration. 3-1 Quinnipiac. Fans going wild. You had the Teletubbies, you had posters of President Leahy, you had everything. But Kyle, I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about number 34. 34 in net for the women's team, Sydney Rossman, but it was 34 in net for the men's ice hockey team. What a great windmill save. You'll see that one again on the top plays in just a little bit. Stones, Yale's top goal scorer, John Hayden, not once, not twice, a couple times. You'll see it again here on a great angle from Kyle Levasseur. That was you.
Thank you, Morey.
Right where the Zambonis come out on the ice. Quinnipiac with a big victory, 4-1, a confidence boost for Gartig, and here they are post-game.
I think Alex Lyon is one of the best, if not one of the best in the country, but I don't think I've ever lost to Alex Lyon, and I'm not saying that I'm so far and beyond him as a goalie, but I think me and him have a really good goalie battle going on with each other, and I really enjoy playing against him because it makes.
Kyle, like I said, fans were lined up outside 9 hours beforehand, posters, Teletubbies, and we just want to provide the fans watching just a little bit of the sights and sounds from Saturday night.
I could really go for a Ray and Mike sub right now.
Come to Ray and Mike's and try our Philly chicken and cheese for just over $4. Giant cheesesteak subs and mouth-watering boar's head sandwiches for as low as $4.75. Q-Cash accepted just a mile down the road on Whitney, here at Ray and Mike's.
Welcome back to Sports Paws. And Kyle, what happens when you combine a touchscreen with hockey knowledge?
You get MJ Baird ranking the top teams and looking forward into the ECAC playoffs.
MJ?
The ECAC regular season has come to a close this past weekend, with Quinnipiac, Yale, Harvard, and St. Lawrence taking over the top 4 spots, ensuring them a first-round bye in the ECAC playoffs. I'm Victoria Tigliano, joined aside by MJ Baird, who's a Quinnipiac men's ice hockey beat reporter. And MJ, let's jump right into it for the first round. Cornell and Union, they tied their first game in January, and then Union went on to win 5-1 just this past week. What do you see from these two teams?
Yeah, you said it there. You know, Union might have won in February, but I think Cornell is the hotter team right now. Not to take anything away, though, this is definitely a good matchup, the 8-9. Like you said, Union beat them 5-1, but I think players like Anthony Angelo, Jeff Kubiak, and ultimately Mitch Gillum for Cornell are going to be the X factors. I'm going to take Cornell to win this one.
All right, and then moving along to Princeton versus Clarkson. Princeton won the first game in November, 3-0, but then Clarkson came back in February, to win 5-2. Princeton's currently on a 10-game winless streak. What do you see from this?
Yeah, I think this is a pretty self-explanatory series. We have a 5 and a 12 seed, but Clarkson's definitely the better team here. I think they're just going to steamroll Princeton.
All right, and then Rensselaer versus Brown. In November, they tied, and then late January, RPI went on to win 4-3. What do you see from this?
This is actually my favorite matchup of the first round, Victoria. Brown definitely playing better of late. I wouldn't say good, but better. And RPI is struggling a little bit, at least in my opinion. So I'm actually going to take the upset here. I'm going to take Brown to beat RPI, 11-6 matchup. But I think the first line of Brown, Lappin, Niclario, and the freshman Martian can just, they can take control for this Brown team, and I think I see him getting past the first round.
All right. And then Dartmouth versus Colgate. In January, Dartmouth won 3-2, and then Dartmouth won again in February 5-2. What do you see from this?
This is also a really good matchup. Definitely a tougher one for me to pick. Dartmouth has 3 losses at the end of its season, so that's a little concerning. But Jack Barr and this Dartmouth team, I think, is a little more powerful. Yes, Colgate has the Spink brothers, but I just don't think those two alone can lead the Colgate team. I think Dartmouth's a little more well-rounded, so I'm going to take Dartmouth.
All right, well, thank you so much, MJ. Check back next week as we preview the ECAC quarterfinals. For MJ Baird, I'm Victoria Tigliano. Back to you guys at the desk.
With Quinnipiac ending the regular season with wins against both Brown and Yale, it remains at the top of the pairwise rankings. The Bobcats have the best win percentage in NCAA hockey, boasting a 25-2-7 record. Other ECAC teams that made the top 16 include Yale, who is tied for 7th with Denver, and Harvard, who is sitting at 11th. Now let's take it from High Point Solutions Arena to the other part of TD Bank Sports Center, Slender Court, women's basketball, probably the hottest team on campus here. First quarter, Paula Stromene is going to put on a moves around a defender and put up the reverse layup for the first basket of the game. And minutes later, Kelsey Carey of Fairfield is going to go right back, drive to the hoop, and make a layup. Quinnipiac up by 3. Now, Maria Napolitano, just been a spark plug all year long for the Bobcats. She hits a 3 from the top of the key. Quinnipiac up by 4. Going into the second quarter now, Paula Stromene is going to drive and try for another layup, but she misses it. Quinnipiac is up by only 1. Fairfield's Christine Miller now drives for the layup. She gets the foul also. Quinnipiac up by 7. Now Erin McClure is going to pass to Brittany Martin to Brittany Johnson for the reverse and the layup. Nice moves there by Johnson. Third quarter now, Carly Fabry sprints down the length of the court off the backboard and the layup. Quinnipiac up 44-26. Later on in the third, Adelie Martucci drives. She'll get the layup. Quinnipiac up 57-35. Start of the fourth now, Erin McClure is going to go step back jumper. Quinnipiac up 67-49. 6 minutes left in the fourth. Morgan Mans is going to spin around a defender. She hits it. Quinnipiac up 75-73. They win it 83-58.
And to New Rochelle, New York we go, Kyle. It's the Heinz Athletic Center. It was senior day, and the Iona College Gales honored their seniors, most specifically on the right-hand side of your screen, Joy Adams, 1,538 career rebounds, 9th all-time in Division I women's basketball history. But it was Marina Lizarazu to start, a layup to tie the game, a three-point to expand the lead. Quinnipiac, Kyle, off to a really slow start. Trish Fabry called timeout after a layup inside by the Gales. 13-2 deficit, but it would come back. It was its senior, Maria Napolitano, her second J of the early afternoon along the baseline. A great kick out by the freshman McClure, who can fill up the box score, and there Napolitano fills up the hoop. Great hands by Napolitano right there. Iona, though, would retain possession and take a 32-29 lead into the break after that Lizarazu three. And in the third quarter, it was all Quinnipiac. When you're shooting the ball well, the Banks even go in too for number 10. She finished with 16 points, a game high. A la Nicolijn Ostergaard, the Latvian. Not only can she put it on the floor, she can hit the tray ball. She's really going to be, in my eyes, one of the best players to come through Quinnipiac women's basketball history. The regular season championship, back-to-back for Trisha Fabry. This was her after the game.
Well, I think you want to be the best all the time you go out and put a uniform on. So I don't see that as a disadvantage. I think for us, the way the tournament's set up this year, that it was really important to secure 1 and 2, so that we're playing on Friday, have the day off Saturday to get ready for hopefully a Sunday, Monday run. I think that was real important for us.
I took a trip down to New Rochelle, New York to cover the game alongside of Q30 legend Tom Albanese, and we broke down the game. Despite a rocky start this afternoon, the Quinnipiac women's basketball team went into the locker room trailing by 3. But a 5-0 quick spurt by the Bobcats, and they never looked back. A 69-53 victory here in New Rochelle, New York, Sunday afternoon against Iona College to win its second straight Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference Championship. Welcome inside the rebound presented by Q30 Television and Q30 Sports, alongside of Tom Albanese. I'm Morey, Hershgordon, and Tom. What a day for Trisha Fabry and her Quinnipiac women's basketball program.
She's obviously very happy at this moment, Morey, because earlier in the year, we came into the season knowing that this team was much younger than last season's team, with only 2 seniors really leading the charge for this team. And we were always concerned of how would they respond when they were 0-3 earlier in the season. Well, they responded with 17 straight wins to end the regular season with their second MAAC championship, as you talked about, Morey, in regular season play.
Fabry was asked in the post-game press conference, was she surprised to see 17 straight wins? And she said no, because the day-to-day improvement, the week-to-week improvement, the month-to-month improvement is there for the Quinnipiac Bobcats. Is that what you saw today, catapulted in the regular season championship game?
Absolutely, and what you're talking about with this team is how one thing Trisha Fabry always does, and she's told this to myself and numerous people every single week, they always looked forward to the next game on their schedule. And one thing that this team has been able to do was how they've been able to readjust their offensive game plan per game as the game went on. And what's really interesting is how they just been able to do it with so much potential from these younger players stepping up to playing almost as if they're juniors and seniors when they're really only freshmen. You have Paula Stromani continuing to improve, scoring all of her points in the second half, leading to another double-double for her, and Erin McClure continuing to produce as well with 7 points tonight. And just this team overall has been able to step it up every game since their early season, the losing streak rather, earlier in the season, and it just hasn't stopped for them. They're much more comfortable in the offense that Trisha Fabry has created for them, and it's on their way to the MAAC tournament, where they're hoping to create exactly what happened last season with all the upperclassmen seniors they had.
Trisha Fabry welcomes a challenge, and boy, did she excel. Let's look into the MAAC tournament just to drop. It starts on Thursday afternoon. Quinnipiac will play Friday at noon against the winner of the 8-9 seed, so that winner is to be determined. But what does Quinnipiac, as great as they've been, still need to work on just to shore up some tight ends going into the tournament?
I think the most important thing, and we saw this afternoon against Iona and a couple other games earlier in the season, but they continue to improve it as the season went on during their winning streak, Morey. It's getting out of the gate to a strong start. This team has had some negligence, so to speak, in terms of getting a little bit slow out of the gate. But if this team can get out of the gate to a little bit of a much better, in a much better way, so to speak, than what they've shown in a couple of the games, including this afternoon's game against Iona. This team doesn't look beatable in this MAAC tournament, Morey. This is going to be a really great team, and if Quinnipiac can do what they did against Iona this afternoon, again, potentially, should they meet up in the MAAC tournament, I don't see any MAAC opponent beating Quinnipiac. Yes, we've talked about it with other sports. It is tough to sweep a team in the regular season and into the playoffs, but this Quinnipiac team just looks solid on all cylinders. The only thing, like I said, if they can get off to the quicker starts, they're going to be just fine in the upcoming MAAC tournament, Morey.
Great coverage, Morey. Aaron McClure, Paula Stramine. It's scary good how good these freshmen are. Well, with men's basketball closing out the season on the road, did it catch fire before Albany? And Hannah Cotter talks spring sports. Baseball was in North Carolina to kick off 2016.
In the top 5 plays of the week, they're packed with action, or they're action-packed. It doesn't really matter. Don't go anywhere. You'll see them when we come back.
I could really go for a Ray and Mike sub right now.
Come to Ray and Mike's and try our Philly chicken and cheese for just over $4. Giant cheesesteak subs and mouth-watering boar's head sandwiches for as low as $4.75. Qcash accepted just a mile down the road on Whitney, here at Ray and Mike's.
The freshmen this year have stepped in and really just eliminated that problem, doing the right plays at the right time.
I mean, it certainly seems like an uphill battle for this team, but Trisha Fabi is one of the best coaches at this university.
Bobcats hosting Arizona State. We'll start with this power play.
But she's strong. Good Lord, I saw her lifting one time. She could squat 3 of me. Like,
oh, well, 7 of me then.
Good evening and welcome to Sports Paws.
In the end, we're here to win the championship this year.
Jess Fontaine now has that. She's going to take a ripper off the post, but she's going to come back.
And my number 1, hold your applause, Bobcats fans, is Quinnipiac.
All right, Victoria, you know what time it is. It's top 5 plays of the week.
My favorite time.
Welcome back to Sports Paws. The only team that we haven't talked about yet, Kyle, is men's basketball, and they took a trip to Central New York this weekend for a road trip just before the MAAC tournament. Friday it was in Poughkeepsie, opponent Marist, result a 91-77 loss. Daniel Harris, Shays Daniels, and Dimitri Flores led the way with 16, 13, and 12 points respectively. Khalid Hart and Brian Parker, Kyle, 2 top scorers in the MAAC, led the way for the Red Foxes with 21 and 20 points. Quinnipiac's loss drops it to 9-19 overall and 6-13 in conference play.
The men's basketball team stayed in upstate New York to face Siena on Sunday afternoon. The Bobcats ended the regular season losing 80-65 and are ranked 9th in the MAAC. 7,600 people showed up for Siena's senior night. However, it was freshman Nico Clareth who stole the show, dropping 24 points. Quinnipiac's top scorer was also a freshman, Abdullah Bundu, who tallied 14 points.
And that concludes the MAAC regular season standings. Let's take a look now at the standings and the playoffs as we head into Albany. Monmouth, Iona, Siena, Fairfield, St. Peter's. Those top 5 that you see right there all got first-round byes. 6 through 11 will play each other in the first round to the quarterfinals. The semifinals and the championship will be on ESPN Monday, March 7th.
The women's indoor track and field team ran in the New England Championships on Saturday. While the team finished 12th out of 32 teams, sophomore Jennifer Lee shined in the 60-meter hurdles. It was a nail-biter as she beat Northeastern's Betsy Garnick by .002 seconds to take home the gold. Lee's time of 8.61 seconds broke the program record in the event. And another team that had a stellar weekend was the acrobatics and tumbling team. The women steamrolled through Gannon, winning 280.545 to 258.90. Not only was this the highest score of the season for the team, but they also won 5 out of 6 events, including the compulsory, pyramid, toss, tumbling, and team rounds.
And now for a little spring sports preview and update, we send it to Hannah Cotter outside on the quad.
I'm Hannah Cotter with the Spring Sports Report. I'm outside on the Quinnipiac Quad on a beautiful sunny day, and spring sports have just gotten back into action. The baseball team traveled to North Carolina this weekend for a pair of doubleheaders against Appalachian State. The team opened up its season with a win and a loss on Saturday and swept the Mountaineers on Sunday. In the first game on Saturday, the combined efforts of Thomas Jenkins and Matthew Osija gave the Bobcats a 4-3 victory over the Mountaineers. Later that evening in the second game, the Bobcats had a 5-0 lead at the top of the third inning, but the Mountaineers scored 9 runs in between the fourth and sixth innings, giving them the 10-7 win. On Sunday, Quinnipiac walked away with 7-2 and 3-2 victories over Appalachian State. Ben Gibson gave the Bobcats 5 hits and 3 doubles in both games on Sunday, and Matthew Batten had 3 RBIs in the doubleheader, and freshman Brian Mosky scored 3 runs. The softball team took a trip down to Virginia, where they won 4 out of 5 games in the Hampton tournament. The Bobcats split their first doubleheader and had a 3-1 victory over Buffalo and a 4-3 loss to Rhode Island. Senior Sidney Roby pitched the entirety of the first game and only allowed 4 hits from the Bulls and 0 earned runs over the 7-inning game. The Bobcats swept their doubleheader against Princeton and Hampton the next day with 3-1 and 8-1 victories, respectively. Junior Kalani Finley tallied 5 RBIs throughout the day, and senior Abby Johnson went 4 for 7 at the plate with a double and 3 runs. The women's tennis team lost 4-3 against St. Joseph's and 5-2 against Temple this weekend. Cecilia Rancelli was the only player to win 2 matches against St. Joseph's on Friday. Rachel Horton went on to join Rancelli and Sofia Zielinski to win 2 matches the next day against Temple. The men's tennis team picked up their first victory of the season Friday night against St. Joseph's. The Bobcats won 5-2 with the help of Ki Izaka, Freddie Zarteski, and Kyle Alper, all picking up 2 wins. Quinnipiac fell 6-1 on Temple on Saturday. The women's lacrosse team lost their 3rd straight against Binghamton on Saturday, 13-7, after suffering an 11-4 loss to Yale on Wednesday. Freshman Allison Kuhn led the Bobcats with 3 goals and 1 assist and was one of 4 freshmen to score in the game. And that's all for the spring sports. Back to you guys at the desk.
Every week, the Sports Paws crew chooses its Performance of the Week. This week, the Bobcat of the Week goes to senior forward Nicole Brown of the Quinnipiac women's ice hockey team. Earlier in the show, you saw Brown's game-winning goal to push the Bobcats past RPI in double overtime and on to the ECAC semifinals for the 3rd consecutive season. Brown and the Bobcats host this year's ECAC championship weekend, and they look to win their first ECAC championship in program history.
Well, Morey, Nicole Brown's late game antics gave her the Bobcat of the Week, but would she be on the top 5 plays of the week? Let's go right into it with play number 5. You know, so many great plays this week. This is going to be an action-packed hockey edition of top 5 plays. And let's start with men's hockey versus Brown. Kevin McKernan here is going to pass to Andrew Tavener, to Thomas Aldworth, whoops, with a deke, passes back to Kevin McKernan, tips it in, play number 5.
And at 4, Kyle, like you said, we're going to stay on that game. Brown loses the puck deep in its own area, but what a great save by the Brown goalie. It was a 3-1 deficit, and then they still lost.
And number 3 is still from that game, men's hockey versus Brown. Luke Shiplow with another great deke, top right shelf. Great weekend by the freshman.
At just 5'9", he's playing great. Doesn't matter the size of the opponent's forwards. We're going to go over to women's ice hockey here. Like I said, Nicole Brown, 6:36 left. That was an absolute war. They should have let the students come in that were waiting for the men's Yale game.
And the number 1 play of the week, Michael Gartig with a glove save. He was the X factor in this one. Yeah, with a plethora of nice saves. Quinnipiac would win the Heroes hat 4-1.
Now, if you thought this was an action-packed week of Quinnipiac athletics, let's just preview next week's for just a moment. Men's and women's basketball in Albany for the MAAC tournament. Women's ice hockey hosts the ECAC semifinals and championship here. Kyle, crews will be split. We will have people in Albany and people in Connecticut, all across the Metro Atlantic athletic area. What do you see in the next week?
Well, I see women's basketball getting really far. They're the hottest team on campus, riding a 16-game winning streak. Men's hockey, number 1 team in the nation. They could go far. Women's hockey, that'll be interesting. They just went into 2 overtime games, so it should be an action-packed week.
Well, if you want to see 20 straight wins, if you want to see championships, all the footage on Q30television.com. Don't forget to check us out there, as well as on social media at Q30 Sports and at Q30 Television. For our executive producers, Victoria Rutigliano and Paul Caracciolo, as well as the rest of the Q30 Sports production staff, he's Kyle Levasseur. I'm Morey Hershgordon. We'll see you next time.